bright like a diamond. Shine bright like a diamond. Fine light in the beautiful sea. I chose to be happy. You and I, we're like diamonds in the sky. You're a shooting star I see, a vision of ecstasy. When you hold me, I'm alive. We're like diamonds in the sky. I knew that we'd become one right away. Oh, right away. At first sight, I felt the energy of sun rays. I saw the life inside you. Shine bright tonight. You and I, we're beautiful like diamonds in the sky. I too, I'm so alive. We're beautiful like diamonds in the sky. Shine bright like a diamond. Shine bright like a diamond. Shining bright like a diamond. We're beautiful like diamonds in the sky. Shine bright like a diamond. Shine bright like a diamond. Shining bright like a diamond. We're beautiful like diamonds in the sky. Palms rise to the universe as we moonshine and Mali. Feel the warmth, we'll never die. We're like diamonds in the sky. You're a shooting star I see, a vision of ecstasy. When you hold me, I'm alive. We're like diamonds in the sky. At first sight, I felt the energy of sun rays. I saw the life inside you. Shine bright tonight. You and I, we're beautiful like diamonds in the sky. I too, I'm so alive. We're beautiful like diamonds in the sky. Shine bright like a diamond. Shine bright like a diamond. Shining bright like a diamond. We're beautiful like diamonds in the sky. Shine bright like a diamond. Shine bright like a diamond. Shining bright like a diamond. We're beautiful like diamonds in the sky. Shine bright like a diamond. Shine bright like a diamond. Shine bright like a diamond. So shine bright tonight. You and I, we're beautiful like diamonds in the sky. I too, I'm so alive. We're beautiful like diamonds in the sky. Shine bright like a diamond. Shine bright like a diamond. Shine bright like a diamond. Oh yeah. Shine bright like a diamond. Shine bright like a diamond. Shine bright like a diamond. Shine bright like a diamond.
I sit and wait. Does an angel contemplate my fate? And do they know the places where we go when we're gray and old? 'Cause I have been told that salvation lets their wings unfold. So when I'm lying in my bed, thoughts running through my head, and I feel that love is dead, I'm loving angels. angels instead. And through it, oh, she offers me protection, a lot of love and affection, whether I'm right or wrong, and down the waterfall, wherever it may take me, I know that life won't break me. When it comes to call, she won't forsake me. I'm loving angels instead. When I'm feeling weak and my pain walks down a one-way street, I look above. I know I'll always be blessed with love. And as the feeling grows, she breathes flesh to me.
Grief, I've learned, is really just love. It's all the love you want to give, but cannot. Ladies and gentlemen, past, present, and future directors of District 74 and around the globe, District 74 Cabinet and newly elected Cabinet, Regional Advisors Sunil and Frank, Region 11 International Director Aletta Rashad, Distinguished Toastmaster, Second Vice President Maraf Matthiesen, International President Richard Peck, DTM, and other board members and friends and family here present. Of course, a special welcome to Merryl's mother, Melanie Peterson, and Merryl's sister, Melinda Murphy, and her family, and of course, Melanie's son, Alan. Ladies and gentlemen, with tears and joy, we now dip into the deep well of love and memory. Please be reminded to charge your glasses, for after the next or the introduction, a toast will be made. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce our next first speaker to give us the introduction, the welcoming, and toast. Ladies and gentlemen, Regional 11 International Director, Aletta Rashad, Distinguished Toastmaster.
Good evening, everyone. It is an absolute honor to pay tribute to Merryl this evening. I first met Merryl, over 10 years ago. She had just been elected as a Division L director, and I had just stepped into the role of district PR manager. And I remember standing in front of that room delivering some training, and she immediately caught my eye. She was the type of person who couldn't just sit and watch training. She would respond. She would have a comment. She'd laugh out loud. And immediately I was drawn to her. And I remember spending the rest of the session sitting right next to her. And I don't know what we said to each other, but we were always laughing. We were always enjoying one another's company. And that's where our friendship started. And it never stopped. I found that Merryl was way ahead of her time. She was, as I just mentioned, elected Division L director, and Division L was near Johannesburg. But during the course of the year, Merryl moved to Cape Town. And this was long before we had Zoom meetings. There was no concept of remote district leadership at that point. But Merryl made it work. And the reason she made it work was before she left Johannesburg as division director, she had visited every single one of her clubs. They knew who she was, she knew who they were, and there was already a relationship. And based on that strong relationship and that extraordinary member focus, that enabled her to successfully lead from a distance. So, as I said, way ahead of her time. A few years after that, when I stepped into the district director role, she played a huge part in helping me that year. She was perfectly happy to play a part in the background with no accolades, no badge, no title. She was willing to be my assistant. And she asked me a very profound question. She said to me, Aletta, what do you want to be remembered for? And I said to her that I'd like to be remembered for my connection with our members. Little did I know that Merryl would take this to a level that I'd never seen before. And she mirrored what she'd done as a remote division director. And she would get clubs to send agendas to her And if she saw that your name was on the agenda doing your CC3 presentation, she would send a personal email to you wishing you well. And she helped me do that for many of the members in our district. I could never have done it without Merryl, and I would never have imagined that it was possible. She used to send me lists of people to call every day so that by the time I'd been in office for about 3 months, I'd spoken to virtually every club president in the district. And I can tell you right now that wouldn't have happened without Merryl's help. In fact, we loved working together so much that we started working together outside of Toastmasters. And if I was running a workshop, I'd get her to help me plan it and to run it on the day. And it was always a pleasure working with her. The thing that I really learned about Merryl was, number one, if she says she'll do it, consider it done. She had an incredible capacity to deliver on time. If she liked your idea, she would let you know. And if she didn't like your idea, she would also let you know. She was passionate and she would argue for her viewpoint if she believed it would add value to people. And that's what we remember her for, one of the many things. She shared at one point, and many times after that to me, her favorite quote. And it's attributed to John Lennon. And it goes like this: everything will be okay in the end. And if it's not okay, it's not the end. Let me say it again. Everything will be okay in the end. And if it's not okay, it's not the end. So Merryl, tonight I want to say to you, it's not okay that you left us so soon. It's not okay that we didn't get to say goodbye. It's not okay that we can't get together and share that glass of wine. But because it's not okay, I know it's not the end. And speaking from a very personal viewpoint, you've left indelible footprints on my heart and in those of many others. And on that basis, I know that we'll see each other again. And when we do, we're going to have a laugh. We're going to talk about whatever is on our minds, and we're going to have the best time ever. And I look forward to that day. But in the meantime, I just want to thank you for enriching my life. You've been a special friend and a huge asset to district. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite you now to raise your glasses and drink a toast to the one-of-a-kind, incredibly generous and unforgettable Merryl Jubber. Let's drink a toast to Merryl. Back to you, Mr. MC.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Aletta Rashad, distinguished Toastmasters. We now get on to our tributes, and it is my pleasure to welcome the current District 74 Program Quality Director and District Director-elect. Ladies and gentlemen, with his tribute titled, To Give, One Ask. To Give, One Ask, Jabulotela, DTM.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I have been privileged to have worked with Merryl quite closely from the beginning of my leadership journey. One of the lessons I've learned from her is to give, one ask. Tonight, I would like to give you 2 words that if I think of Merryl, for me, those words describe her. And then I'll pose a challenge. I had to think very hard about these 2 words, and the 2 words I eventually settled with, the first one is committed. Merryl was committed to the Toastmasters organization in a way I haven't seen. Through her 30 years of membership, she had met so many people and had inspired some. Throughout the week, I've been receiving messages from some of the members sharing their personal stories on how Merryl have touched their lives. And I think a lot of members across District 74 and indeed Toastmasters International will share on how Merrill's commitment was evident in everything that she did. Just talking about her commitment, if I cast my eyes back, just about a week ago, I think the exact date, or so it's about 2 weeks ago, the exact date was the 1st of May. She was not in a great place health-wise, and yet she was so committed that she couldn't say no. She logged on. So thanks to Nikki and the team that intervened, she was asked not to continue her role that day. And at that point, Nikki and I had a conversation. It was on that day that we felt that she needed to really focus on her health and let us step in. You see, she's so used to stepping in and keeping her word that even when she wasn't well, her commitment was so as such, like I later mentioned, that if she said she was going to do something, she'd make sure that thing was done. So obviously things happened and we had the news that she had passed on, but even on the very last day where she was actually okay, I believe that she was thinking of us as Toastmasters and of ways on how she could contribute to the organization. Her commitment was unparalleled. The second word I thought of or I settled for was brave. Merrill was brave in her belief of ideas. She wasn't scared to try out new ideas. One of the ideas, for instance, right now was marketing or advertising through LinkedIn. You see, when you market through that platform, initially the investment is quite high. And then over time, it gets better. So she was so brave that she knew the results of that investment she wasn't going to reap during her term as district director, but her commitment and bravery towards the idea that she believed in made sure that she stuck to her guns with that idea. It's the same bravery, though, that as in any family, we sometimes really did not see eye to eye and we struggled at certain points. But because we wanted the same thing, we both were committed to Toastmasters and we were brave enough to stand for our ideas. I've shared two things that stood out for me from Merrill. Now it's my opportunity to ask something of you. To Melanie, to Melinda, Ellen, and the rest of the family, I ask you to do something today just a little bit better than you did yesterday. You see, Merrill wanted us to strive for progress. Whether it's in your personal relationship, whether it's in your job, whatever you do, just do something a little bit better today than you did yesterday. That's my first ask to the family. To the Toastmasters family, my ask of you is to honor Merrill's memory by doing something a little bit better today than you did yesterday. You see, she was so committed to the organization, she was so brave that she would have wanted you to continue to strive for progress. I therefore ask you to honor her memory by doing what she would have liked to do. Merryl, thank you for your commitment to Toastmasters International. Thank you for your bravery and thank you for sharing and giving so much of your time to us. You will be remembered forever. Mr. MC.
Jabulo Teller, DTM. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for our next tribute, allow me to introduce a past District 74 director with his tribute titled Steadfast Service to District. Steadfast Service to District. Ladies and gentlemen, Keith Bowen, Distinguished Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mr. Master of Ceremonies. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to think a little bit more about what Merrill has given to us as a district and as members across district. So many of us owe a lot to Merrill without actually even realizing it. When I think back to when I first met Merrill 25 plus years ago, when I started as a Toastmaster, she had come to visit our club, which was the old Eskim Toastmasters. And in those days, we used to have an ability to kind of socialize a bit afterwards at the local pub. And I think it was Merrill and Eric both joined us. And Eric, VG, and Merrill, as you probably, most of you who know them, are very much bigger than life characters. And it left such a mark that there were these people who were just so bright, enthusiastic. And really for Merrill, was definitely this bright burning star that you just kind of got a lot out of that one meeting. And it really stayed with me for a long time. And it was another 15 years maybe until I came across Merrill again when we're doing more district affairs. And you kind of see that that bright star continues to burn, and that we have had so much from Merrill in the last 8 years. And I also, as Aletta was pointing out, thinking about when she was the first Division L director and then moved to Cape Town, how we, of course, at the time I was the finance manager, and we would have many debates about what she needed to spend or couldn't spend in terms of her travel, and just being able to manage that whole process from afar. But also as the TLI coordinator, and then the Division R director, and then the PR manager, there were many occasions where we would sit and debate about things. And that's something else I also want to raise about Merrill, is that she loved debating. She loved arguing around something to get to the point. Someone who was so bright and had a clear intellectual capability was very much on the forefront of trying to get to the right answer. And she would often really take it on, and we would have to have these interesting debates to work out how we got to the right answer. One thing I remember, and it comes back to also something that Aletta said about her steadfastness, about her dependability. At one point, Merrill said, no, she's going to phone every one of the club members who didn't renew the 1 year. And she really did. At the semi-annual dues, after the kind of payment period, she went and she phoned every club member across district to convince them that Toastmasters was what was the right thing for them. And it really was her stepping out. And she always said that, having been an estate agent for a long time, for her, it wasn't a problem. She didn't fear the phone. In fact, she loved it. So she would really spend the time and talk to people and connect with people across district and ensure that they were getting what they needed out of Toastmasters. And she really gave herself heart and soul to this organization, and we have got the benefit from it. One of the other battles I remember when she was, I think it was also as District R director, having to sit for an hour on the phone with her, me sitting on the kitchen step and talking to her, convincing her that something that she wanted to do, I didn't want to do. And it really was one long argument for about an hour, because it took a lot of convincing. And again, there was also, I think, something that Jubber talked about was her innovation, because Merrill often thought of something that was different, something that we hadn't tried. And she really made an effort to launch new things. And sometimes she met resistance. And I was one of the people that resisted a lot of the time. And we would have to have some of those phenomenal debates and discuss this over and over again. But she really did introduce fantastic things for district that we still use today. In the days that we could travel, and there was a fair amount of traveling, Merrill, because she was based in Cape Town, would often come up to Gauteng for meetings and stay with one of the many people in Joburg. Often it would be myself or with Nikki or with Sandra. And we would then, you get an opportunity to talk, because then it's not about just being in the meetings, it's about finding out who we are and who each other are. And you really got to the sense of what Merrill was about. And I really appreciate those times where we'd be sitting, drinking a glass of wine, and we'd probably go through a couple of bottles over a weekend and just talking between meetings and getting to know one another. And I really felt that it's a loss for us as a district, but also for us as friends, that we are losing Merrill. But specifically to Alan and to Melanie and Melinda, I want to say thank you that we got to experience Merrill. Alan, that we got to know Merrill when she was, had other priorities, but then also that she had this opportunity in the last 8 years for us to get to know her better. So thanks very much for your commitment to Merrill and for being part of us. We really do appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Master of Ceremonies.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That was former District 74 Director Keith Bowen, distinguished Toastmasters. So throughout the week, we sent out word and invited members around the world, really, to send a video, to send a message to us so we could share it during this tribute. Why? It was overwhelming. We couldn't, of course, play all the videos. We couldn't have, of course, have everyone make a speech. But we thought we could play this for you. We took together the messages, we took together your thoughts and your feelings, and we compiled a video, a tribute to Merryl. While this is playing, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you watch out on the chat box. There is a virtual registration and beautiful messages link that's going to be going out. Please just make sure you click and send in your messages that will be shared with all of District 74. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite you to enjoy the video.
Merryl, it was an honor to serve under you in District 74. Thank you for reminding us that life is beyond us. It's bigger than just sleeping, eating, and breathing, but it's really about leaving a mark, changing people's lives, and leaving this world a better place when it is finally our time to go. I believe that you have done that with excellence. You leave us in a much better place as a district, but also having learned so much from you. So for that, I want to say thank you. It is with a heavy heart that we have to let go, but we know that ultimately each and every one of us will pass away one day. And the question is, have we left a mark? In my view, you have done that. So rest well.
There's a quote that says, people will not remember what you did for them, but how you made them feel. But I believe with this particular individual, I remember what she did for me, and I remember how she made me feel. I believe the entire District 74 remembers what Merryl did for them and how she made us feel. A true leader. Rest well, our leader, until we meet again.
We remember a true leader who served the organization and her fellow Toastmasters with passion, commitment, and dedication. I worked with Merryl on Mentors Without Borders and the Leads team, and she taught us, sell the sizzle, not the steak. Your legacy lives on. Rest in peace, Merryl.
Kamani Toastmasters Club first met Merryl Jubber at our chartering event last year, where she inspired us all through her personal story. She's always reminded us to sell the sizzle of Toastmasters. We will never forget her special steak that would just melt in your mouth. Merryl's guidance in the Achieving Excellence newsletters was also well received in her guide to the club. May Merryl's soul rest in peace.
Thank you, Merryl, for having been part of Toastmasters. I was touched by the passion that you had for Toastmasters and your willingness to serve. I got to learn quite a lot from you. Thank you for being part of us. It was an honor to have known you. Thank you.
Merryl was one of my go-to people in Toastmasters. She was knowledgeable, experienced, and exceedingly accessible. She was never too busy to stop and listen and give on-point guidance and advice. Problem rears its head, who do you call? Definitely not Ghostbusters. Call Merryl. Merryl, you're gone far too soon, but you've left indelible footprints on the sands of District 74.
To lose a courageous person who sailed District 74 through uncharted waters in unpredictable times is terrible. To lose an amazing leader, a great mentor, and an absolutely prolific Toastmaster is terrible. But to lose a friend is heartbreaking. Merryl, your beautiful soul should rest in peace.
Fellow Toastmasters, it is indeed very sad to speak of a woman that was so passionate about Toastmasters, a woman that loved public speaking, a woman that was a mentor to most of us to become who we are today. Dear Mary, you were such an inspiration. I would not have walked this journey had you not mentored and spoken to my life. You encouraged me, you spoke to me to keep pushing on and keep appearing each moment to speak in front of people. And I made it because you were there to mentor me. I met you once and it felt like I'd known you all my life. I'll surely miss you for your great leadership and mentorship. May your soul rest in eternal peace till we meet again.
I've never met a more committed and passionate Toastmaster friend as Merryl Jubber. We met first in 1995 when she was resuscitating JRA, a Toastmasters club, into a social club committed to getting people to grow. And always remember the times I was invited to Cape Town to deliver workshops as a chief judge and to collaborate when she became on cabinet. Merryl, we will miss your sizzle.
It's said that it is never crowded on the extra mile. But if you've ever walked along that mile, I know that you will have walked with Merryl Jubber. In the 8 years that I feel so blessed to have known Merryl, she is someone who's exemplified service and utter commitment to her Toastmasters family. I remember her coming to support a speechcraft graduation in Stellenbosch in the middle of a busy work week and adding so much value to those students. Getting to serve with her on the ICON committee in 2018 and create magic together and just know that she was always on the end of the phone if I needed her. And this year, her support of my club as we've needed to rebuild has been extraordinary. In between all her duties, she was always there for us. And when I started competing, she came to every single contest. She messaged me before each one. She messaged me after each one. And so I just hope that every time Merryl listens to my speech, she looked behind her and saw how many of us were walking behind her, how many of us were being inspired and learning through her example, and just what incredible footsteps she has left in our hearts and in our lives, and a legacy that none of us are going to forget. So Merryl, I salute you. I will miss you. I can't imagine Toastmasters without you. And I just hope you know how valued you are and what an extraordinary legacy you have left.
My close experience of Merryl is very recently when we were working with leads. She had this ability to make you feel like your presence mattered to her. She brought this girl next door energy in her interactions, and that made it very easy to work with her. May she rest in peace.
I will remember you. Will you remember me? Don't let your line pass you by. Weep not for the memories. I'm so tired, I can't sleep. Standing on the edge of something much too deep. It's funny how we feel so much, cannot say a word. We are screaming inside, but we can't be heard. I will remember you.
Merryl was always pleased to see you, and very good company, worth listening to, engaging in excellent conversation, and generous. She'd buy her around, same as everybody else, very good. But she was driven, and this was shown when she joined JRA Toastmasters Club, which was pretty low level, and she took it to number 1. How did you do it, Merryl? She said, we went to club officer training and did as we were told. Merrill, you will be missed.
It's only a few weeks ago when I had an opportunity to have the last chat with you. And the last question that you asked me was, Billy, if you had an opportunity to sit down and have dinner with a person that you admire, living or dead, who would that person be and what would be your question? I said, Fred Hampton, the Black Panther Party chairperson. My question would be, what drove you to a limit where you had to sacrifice your love for the love of the people? What was that passion that you had? Ask me this same question today. My answer would be totally different. My answer would be you, Merryl, Jubber, DTM, my leader, our leader. And my question to you would be, how did you manage to lead us through the most difficult time in the history of Toastmasters with grace and poise? I would like to know. This is a difficult moment for Toastmasters. It's heartbreaking. But one thing I'm certain about is that your legacy will continue even after you are gone. You attain immortality by the great works that you've done, by the footprint that you've set in our lives. You've created leaders, you replicated yourself, and will continue to make you proud. Rest in peace, my leader. Rest in peace, our leader.
Gina Roper says, I have no doubt, Merrill, that you have already submitted Celestial Toastmasters for charter. You touched the hearts of all who met you, and your legacy lives on. Love is how you stay alive, even after you are gone. And we love you. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce our next speaker to give her tribute. Sizzling steaks and nearly scuppered. Sizzling steaks and nearly scuppered. A friend, a sister, and a Toastmaster. Ladies and gentlemen, Nikki Quinn, DTM.
Thank you, Cage. I first met Merrill in 2010. I had been a Toastmaster for just over a year. Merrill joined Morningside Toastmasters, and she had already been a member 20 years ago. Immediately, she started trying to get me to see the value of selling the sizzle, not the steak. Ladies and gentlemen, despite the fact that I'm a vegetarian, but that succulent, melt in your mouth, tender explosion of taste, lazy aged steak that she spoke of so often, that sizzle that only Merrill could sell, that impacted so many of the people in this room. Merrill and I became great friends. I will caveat that and say at some point we weren't great friends. But aside from that, Merrill was quite a private person. But from what I know of her, she had had a fun and crazy life. Not always easy, but mostly fun. And I don't think I know a fraction of what there is to know of this incredibly strong, independent woman. I've traveled a lot, but Merrill has traveled a lot too. She went to the USA as a student when she was in high school. There's one African country that she told me she had been told never to return to. She'd been to India a couple of times, and when we were there together in January of last year, she showed me how easy it is to get around an Indian city. Goodness, Merrill was an estate agent when I first met her, And she sold houses worth millions, sometimes 5 to 10 million, when the average price of a house in Johannesburg was probably around 500,000. She'd worked at the exclusive Pam Golding and Chas Everett estate agents. One of the things Merryl was never quiet or private about was the fact that she had been a single mom to Alan from when she was in her early 20s. And I think she did an excellent job as a single mom. As we've already heard, her Toastmasters journey began at a club called JRA. I'm not entirely sure what JRA stands for, but she first joined, I think it was in August 1991. I heard that their meetings were 4 to 5 hours long. Merryl is one of the very vocal leaders currently saying we need to make meetings 1 hour long. But those 4 to 5 hour long meetings were fabulous. They included a 3-course meal, sherry to start, wine in between, and liqueurs to end off. I don't know much about those meetings because I wasn't a member then. But I think that Eric Vigi, Sean Goodbrand, Tim Knights, Kajik Blonsky, and even Jacques de Villiers could tell you a little more about those days. Merryl was always surrounded by the gentlemen, and they loved her. There weren't a lot of lady Toastmasters in those days. Fast forwarding to Morningside Toastmasters, we both used to joke that the best thing about Morningside was that it had a bar. And it was a great place for solving the world's problems, Toastmasters problems, always over a glass of good Merlot. But there were also some really great people who hung out at Morningside. Some of them still members today, some of them not. Some of them who have left are still friends. Francis Fraser, Isa Grech, Nina Peters, Reggie Muzarewi, Kerry Arrow, and regular visitors, Jacques de Villiers and Richard Rich. Jacques confessed to me this week that he had a mild crush on Merryl way back in the JRA days. I'd always thought at the time that both Jacques and Richard used to come to Toastmasters to meet the ladies anyway. They didn't need to learn to be better speakers. They were both excellent speakers. Jacques let Merryl go, but Richard found Lelaine at Toastmasters, and they got married and had Caitlin, their daughter. At one stage, Morningside Club crumbled to a membership of, I think maybe 3, 4, or 5. But Merryl and I had been told, and we still carry that message with us, never cancel a meeting. No matter what you do, never, ever cancel a Toastmasters meeting. And you will have heard that Merryl wasn't happy to do that on the 1st of May either. We revived Morningside, and we got it to be a bustling, growing, strong club again. Yes, Jonathan and Ange, if you're on the call today, we revived Morningside, and you could too. A little bit later, Merryl tired of Joburg, and she upped, left, and moved to Cape Town. Thankfully, we remained connected. Of course we did. She was a division director, and I was the club extension chair. One year, Merryl flew up to Joburg, and we drove down to the Berg for a Toastmasters conference. And with our passengers in the car, Tim Knights, past district governor, and Meryl's boyfriend at the time, whoever it may have been. In the car, Merrill and I planned our journey of leadership together. And we decided that we were going to run up the ladder together from the next year, starting off with her as District Public Relations Manager and me as Club Growth Director, culminating in our dreams when we served as regional advisors and international director together. The plan was set for the next six or 7 years. It was nearly scuppered at the very start of it. Gao Molibalwa and Eric Kyler ran for Public Relations Manager that year too. And Lazola, our current admin manager, Jason Saunders, and Corin Levy-Strauss ran for Club Growth Director too. Merrill and I, at some stage, thought our dream was over. And we had to endure multiple rounds of voting before being elected. And that's why we both worked so hard, and we committed to work so hard, because we had taken away the opportunity from others to serve District 74. We also endured the longest district council meeting that either of us, and I challenge anybody in this room to remember a district council meeting that was any longer. And before the end of it, the Merlot was released. And then blow us down if Andrew Turo didn't try to scupper the plan again and run against Merrill as Program Quality Director. Thank you to whoever cast those 2 votes. But this year, and Merrill is on my shoulder saying, congratulations, Andrew, on your election to Program Quality Director this year. Merrill and I didn't always agree. In fact, sometimes we disagreed a great deal, especially about some of the people we supported, and of course, whether to drink Merlot or Shiraz, and whether or not to smoke. Yep, we didn't always see eye to eye, and often we had our daggers out, and we fell out big time at one point. We needed help to get over that fallout. But when Merrill and I worked well together, wow, did we work well together. We both worked really, really hard, and I think we were a formidable team. It was heartbreaking watching Merrill's health let her down so much over the past 6 to 8 weeks. There was so much to do, and she just didn't want to stop, because we had been taught, don't ever cancel a meeting. Merrill decided to take a break. But wherever you may be, Merrill, please rest in peace now. Enjoy a sizzling steak, a lovely glass of Merlot, a really, really good one. And I suppose even enjoy smoke. It won't do any harm. You see, I've been trying to get Merrill to quit since I did 7 years ago. Merrill, every additional one step forward that I take as a Toastmaster, I will remember you. I will honor your memory. And I'm sure I am, and I know that everybody in this room is richer for having known you. Here's to you, wherever you will be, sell the sizzle and pray for good Merlot. Over to you, Cage.
Lovely words there by immediate past district director Nikki Quinn, distinguished Toastmaster. And of course, who could forget those 2 votes that Merrill won with a few years ago? If anyone can, it's certainly not Andrew Suro. It is a way of living life and a way of leaving this world is by making people feel something. Verity Price, international speech champion for District 74, said it best when she said, leave the world better than you found it. It could be by picking up a piece of paper, or by making someone smile, turning a frown into a smile. Long will you be remembered for how you make people feel. Thank you so much, Nikki Quinn, DTM. Ladies and gentlemen, for our next tribute, allow me to introduce two distinguished Toastmasters, Gladys Muhunyo, distinguished Toastmaster, and Sunil Kutatarin, DTM, with their tribute titled Firm in Action, Kind at Heart. Firm in Action, Kind at Heart. Sunil.
Thank you, Gage. Merryl is around us forever, as she can't leave us. My close association with Merryl started last year from the beginning of my term as the regional advisor. Till recently, we discussed the specific status of the district, goals, success plan, conflicts, and many other important elements. Merryl was always very clear in what she wanted to convey. No hesitation at all in expressing what she believed in, even if others don't agree with or like it. She was the Iron Lady. We had disagreements on many occasions, especially when we were discussing in our peer group on the district goals and the numbers to reach medley distinguished status. Merryl was very clear. District 74 is aiming to be distinguished, but our main focus is on overcoming the challenges our members face during this tough time. While she was very clear on her views, Mary had no hesitation at all in even apologizing when she was convinced that what she said was incorrect. Once during our district director's peer call, she openly apologized. She had that kind heart. Whenever we met, we all in our group of district directors felt as a family. District 94 director, District 114 director Gladys, District 116 director Thayalan. We all felt as a strong family together with our beloved Merryl. Yes, she's around us. Merryl will live among us forever. Thank you all. And let me request our District 114 Director Gladys to speak on behalf of the fellow district directors. Back to you.
Thank you, Sunil R.A. Thank you, District 74 friends and leaders, and thank you, Merryl's family, Linda, Melanie, and Alan. By including other district leaders, and especially from Region 11, you allow us to share who Merryl was outside her home district. On behalf of fellow regional members and district leaders, I want to share with you three things that we love and still will love Merryl for. First is Merryl showed up. She just showed up. She created a presence and clarity of purpose. She had solid opinions, and her interactions with us left us better. Specifically, in my district being very young and we hardly knew what we were doing, she showed up, gave herself time, and sacrificed time to show us what to do. She did show up. And I've heard she did show up in your district too. She did for Africa. The second thing is that Merryl served wholeheartedly. In a region that we are in, where leaders and great leaders are made in Toastmasters, serving leaders saw what Merryl did. I remember particularly when she was helping our region grow clubs. She connected the corporate clubs in Southern Africa with the East African region. She volunteered to participate in our district events as late as last month. And this, is beyond her district leadership in District 74. What a sacrifice. My fellow district leaders will have the similar stories of how she showed up in other regions supporting fellow leaders because the story remains the same of service, and she did this so well. And finally, our friends and family. Merryl was a sister to us. We called her our sister. She was the first to cheer us on. She was the first to ask, how are you? Keep yourself safe. She was a rock. She was always there to stand by us. We got to know her. We got to spend quality time with her, especially when we traveled in Toastmasters International conferences. And I got to share rooms with her, 2 different people, but we became sisters. This year, on February 20th, on her birthday, when our leaders were sharing her birthday gift, she was quick to add, please, a red wine is welcome in addition to all your birthday messages. Yes, we will miss Merryl dearly. I remember her last message on April 14th to our district leaders group, and she's being challenged on what District 74 would be. And she said this, we are working hard. She challenged Frank to go pick a truckload full of grapes because we are going to celebrate District 74 with all the other districts in Region 11. I ask you, let's do this together. Merryl showed up. He served wholeheartedly. And she is and always be our sister. May she rest in peace. Back to you.
And may she certainly rest in peace. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Regional Advisor Sunil Kotaratil, DTM, and Gladys Mhonyo, District Director, District 114. We're going to play a few more of your tributes that you sent in through to us. Thank you so much for sharing your tributes. And we hope that we can play all of them during the course of this program. Please remember to check out the link on the chat box to leave in our register some of your memories that you'd like to share. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the slide.
Knowing her, to have her caring, her sharing, and her special personalized notes. They really meant the world to us. And her sell the sizzle and not the steak will never be forgotten by me. I have definitely used it quite a lot. Merryl, you will be deeply missed, and thank you so much for your awesome caring, and to all of those who are suffering because you are not around, my condolences. Thank you.
I choose to remember, Merryl, your fighting spirit, how fierce you were in anything that you believed you wanted to see happen. I choose to believe how much of a cheerleader you were to some of us and many other Toastmasters who had their personal and professional ambitions. I choose to remember how much you wanted Toastmasters to be a household name. And whilst your soul rests in peace, I hope that you're enjoying your favorite beverage wherever you are, because here on earth, your legacy lives on.
Personally, when I started reflecting on the experiences I've had with Merryl, what stands out is how striving for progress was just not a tagline, but it was something that she personified. I mean, for example, I remember when I facilitated the first in-person TLI interview at KPMG, she shared a story of how she applied for a job, and after being told no several times, she still persisted. I mean, what more personifies striving for progress than that? But also importantly, how when I emceed the first PR for Success event, after the day, she sent me a message to say, thank you so much, and I liked your energy. And for me, that was a leader who was present and ensured that people knew that she was there and she was watching.
We all miss Merryl, especially her radiant smile and her presence at meetings when we could never expected her to be at so many. Her total dedication and her loyalty to the brand of Toastmasters. She leaves us her legacy. Her selling the sizzle is branded in our minds forever. And we will remember the basket of gems of knowledge that she shared with us on any opportunity, at Mentoring Without Borders and on one-on-ones with me and with all of us. We are so blessed to have known her. May she rest in peace.
A student of learning, what you call this, TLI. Yes, I was still a student, so that was like my test. And I was shaking in my boots, and I was already a facilitator at that time, but still I was shaking. So she walked in and she greeted and she introduced herself and she sat down. And my worst fear was that she would interrupt, because I've only been in Toastmaster for how many months? It's like 4-5 months in Toastmaster. So it was just amazing how she sat there and she did not interrupt as a leader and say, no, actually, this is not how we do it. This is how it's done. So she left everything to me. And after that, when I was really struggling, then I asked her, Merryl, would you please assist in answering the questions? And she gracefully stood up and she answered all the questions. And she was even my scribbler. Oh, my word. I was like, oh, and when you're like admiring someone, like, she's even writing for me. Oh, my word. I was really touched. So there are so many other stories. I'm not the only one that she has actually touched. I'm sure there are others. So please share your stories. And I'm handing over to whoever who would like to share a story about Merryl. We have until past, and please grab your tea. This is tea time. Good morning, future.
You're muted.
Good morning, Madam Nansa. How are you? And good morning, fellow Toastmasters, the breakfast team.
Good morning.
Good morning.
To you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for coming. Let me leave the stage to everyone. Anyone can just take over and just share, or we can just have any other conversations as we usually do on break time.
I nominate Narissa.
You nominate?
And Nikki is up. Nikki would like to share.
Madeline, you don't want to leave me.
Nikki, do you want to
All
share
right.
first? Nikki want to go first? Nikki looks ready.
No, okay. I heard Marissa. No, go, Marissa. Okay. I've never met Merryl in person, but I had the opportunity to evaluate, I think, 4 of her speeches when she gave speeches here, and I was the evaluator. The very first evaluation that I gave, I didn't even know who she was in Toastmaster, and I just evaluated. What actually touched my heart was after the evaluation, she even came to my inbox. She sent me a message and said, thank you so much for the evaluation, and I will take into consideration your recommendations. I was like, wow, okay. Then at that time, I still didn't know who she was. When I later learned who she was in Toastmasters and how long has she been in Toastmasters, I was honestly wowed by her humility, because I was like 3-4 months in Toastmasters when she gave me that compliment. And for me, it really spoke of her leadership values, and that humility really touched me. May your dear soul rest in peace. Okay, Nikki, no problem. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry, I'll just be quick. Yeah, I mean, I've known Merryl sort of vaguely sort of on the sides for a few years, and I think it's just maybe Jasmine mentioned this, but a committed Toastmaster, like, you know, times when you could see, especially this year, you know, she was tired. But she kept on going. And I think one thing I appreciate and experienced was related to what Nerissa was saying as well, her compassion side, that, you know, this was a hard year, and also as the district leadership also had other challenges with other members who suffered illnesses and various things, and the way that she stepped in quickly to help with great compassion, even though she herself was busy and, you know, doing an extraordinary amount. So it feels like she really was, she did know how to step up beyond, you know, what was her role on paper, and bring her person and her humanness to it. So yeah, I appreciate that from her, and I think it's a sad loss, but incredible that, yeah, we had the chance to know her here in District 74, and especially in our club.
Beautiful tribute, lovely memories. Merryl certainly lived life to the full and touched many lives. She will be sadly missed. May her soul rest in peace. Sincere condolences to family and friends. That is, of course, by Sandra Cooper. And I'm going to read one more message, if I may. Thank you for this opportunity to all us to know more about this great, iconic personality, a true leader, an exemplar. Unfortunately, I only met her through online meetings and had a chance to exchange a few WhatsApp messages as I needed some information for my own knowledge. On behalf of Impact Leaders Toastmasters Club, Mauritius, we pray that her beautiful soul rest in peace. Heartfelt condolences to her family and to our Toastmasters families. Ladies and gentlemen, it goes without saying that one of the best lives worth lived is a life lived through serving others. And being a member of Toastmasters is a testament of your servitude. It is a testament of your willingness to go beyond yourself and work and help and serve others. We will remember Merryl for her ability and for her enormous ability of influencing, of teaching, and of leaving that beautiful impact. And of course, who can forget that glass of Merlot? Ladies and gentlemen, to give the eulogy, allow me to introduce former District 74 District Director, incoming Regional 11 Advisor, Frank Tsuru, Distinguished Toastmaster.
A few hundred years ago, a company from Europe sent 2 salesmen to Africa. These 2 salesmen were shoe salesmen. After visiting 4 or 5 different African countries, salesman number 1 wrote a letter back to head office. And he said, no possibilities here, no opportunities here, no one wears shoes. Salesman number 2 wrote a completely different letter back to head office. His letter said, fill up as many boats as you can with as many shoes as you can. Nobody in Africa wears shoes. We're gonna sell millions of shoes. Now here's the hard question. Ask yourself, are you salesman number 1 who only sees challenges and obstacles? Or are you salesman number 2 who sees opportunities? Now more so than ever before, you need to become salesman number 2 and look for opportunities.
Now, if you got to know Merryl, even just for an hour, you would know which salesperson she was. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who knew Merryl very well, Merryl was very resourceful. I mean, look at the people who are here, legends. a mix of very new Toastmasters legends, some who know it and some who don't know it yet, and many experienced servants of this organization. Merryl had time for everyone. She had the energy for you. If you wanted something, even if she did not have it, she'd use this very network, the one you see here today, to get you what you wanted. Such was the Lady Merryl was, unstoppable. If you hadn't figured it out already, Merryl worked her heart out. Her work ethic was beyond amazing. So to fill these many cups that we see in this room today, she knew she had to fill her own. And for those of you who also had an opportunity to hear Merryl speak, she openly professed to the top 3 things that she spent money on herself. Despite being a non-smoker, I became her smoke buddy as we shared a lot of tactical conversations during our time as district leaders. She also enjoyed good company with a nice glass of red wine. Now, for those of you worrying right now, I can confirm that during hard lockdown, Merryl managed to get herself enough supply of cigarettes and wine. That's how resourceful the person we're talking about here. And you guessed it, that one of the top 3 priorities in her life was Toastmasters. You know, Merryl would always say to me in her last, she would always say to me, you know, Frank, I love Toastmasters so much. And she would also talk about her other 2 loves. But in her last days, she would often say she couldn't stand alcohol. But even though that was the case, you will know that even as been said earlier by Njabulo, by Nikki, she was still able to stand emceeing Toastmasters events, even in her being in so much pain. A true heroine. That's what Merryl was. As you may have heard, Merryl had an unbroken membership in Toastmasters for 30 years. Now, she always, on some trips, she always told me a little bit that she could about Alan, and that she really loved him and she wanted the best for him. And she told me that she had to take him through some of the best education, even though it wasn't always within her means. And still, after investing in Alan's best education, staying behind with nothing, she would go to the Gamerson Trust and ask them to support her with membership. Now, as you know, the Gamerson Trust only pays for 50% of the membership fees. So she would scrape out of nothing left to find the other 50%. That was the lady Merryl was. That salesman number 2 that was always resourceful in our lives. Now, for many of you, speaking of Mr. Joe Gamerson, many of you who may never had the opportunity to meet him, a great Toastmaster we had during the time, I say to you, do not worry too much, because you met Merryl, our heroine, who was generous in the support of many people who wanted to thrive as Toastmasters. But what really brought Merryl and I closer together, I don't believe it's the fact that I was just a Toastmaster. I don't believe it's the fact that we served intimately for 5 good years as district leaders, or the fact that she gave me chocolate and bought me thermal socks whenever I was feeling cold. Speaking of chocolate, to her family and to everyone else in here, I just want you to know that I had the first right of refusal for any chocolate that was meant for Merryl. So please, let's not mess that up. But seriously, I believe what brought Merryl and I together was a fierce pursuit for what she wanted. We've had so many stories shared. I remember when she was public relations manager, she'd make up to 1,000 calls every month just to ensure that people enjoyed the benefits of Toastmasters. Now that's my kind of person. Merryl believed you could solve almost any personal or professional challenge through Toastmasters. When you sat with her in a plane, she would not only have conversation with you, but the people in all the seats in a radius and ask them if they knew about Toastmasters. She'd stop at nothing to get what she had set her mind to. And this is where sometimes we got together to have serious conflict. I always said Merrill and my brother Andrew would give me gray hairs because I'm a very compliant personality, whereas Merrill was a very creative personality. And so in fighting for you, in fighting to ensure that you were supported for data, you had everything that you needed, you had money for transport, Merrill would always make sure that you had enough to enjoy your Toastmasters journey. And we will miss that about her for a very long time. For a long time also, Merrill always spoke about the need for something like a call center in Toastmasters, which was hard to imagine in a volunteer organization where people are not paid to be Toastmasters. But look at us today, so fierce she was in a pursuit of her dreams that we actually have a leads team that actually ensures that we call anyone in this continent that needs Toastmasters. That is Merrill for you. Late last year, she said to my brother Andrew, "You've spoken about LinkedIn for a long time. Let's do this." And knowing that they knew how to challenge one another, Merrill said to Andrew, "I think we can get 2,000 followers in a couple of months." Guess what? She did it. She did it. Another thing that really brought Merrill and I close together is we belong to a very specific club called the Straight Talkers Club. Now, when I was in corporate, my former boss, Rob, always said that he appreciated something about me. Every time I was involved in any matter, he always knew where I stood. And anytime we disagreed, he always said he knew that he needed to bring a bulletproof vest so that he could avoid the shots, which is something you couldn't say about many. And I believe that's one of those things that really brought me very close to Merrill, because Merrill said it clearly. You knew when you agreed and you knew when you disagreed. And I think for me, that is one of the things that I appreciated, because we knew we didn't have to guess each other's feelings, and that allowed us more time to focus on our mission. But I know some of you in this room found her to be a little bit too hectic at times. And when the going got tough, people came to me. Now, in trying to resolve some of those conflicts, that's something that really brought Merrill and I even closer together. She'd know sometimes when I call her that there's someone who's probably asked me to intervene just to make sure that the temperature was much better. In fact, we always used to joke together that we have sensitive, excuse the language, bullshit barometers. And so we would share, exchange words, and ensure that we resolve whatever that there was. And so because of that, Merrill said that I was always going to be her mentor when it came to ensuring that we get some diplomacy into a situation. I think that's a relationship that's going to be very difficult to replace in Toastmasters, because I don't know who else I can talk so straight to than you, Merrill. Now, I spoke earlier about this room, Merrill's superpower, Merrill's network. If you didn't know already, after Merrill was done with you and I, we became her superpower. Her legacy lives within us. Whatever Merrill wanted, it is still possible because of you and me. Whatever you wanted from Merrill, it is still possible because of the people in this room, you and me. And whatever the world still needed from a Merrill, I want to say to you today, it is still possible because of you and me. All you and I need to do is to put on a Merrill, embrace her spirit, go out there, stop at nothing until we get it done. I did just say stop at nothing. I always say to Merrill, take it easy, get some rest. You've been at this for a long time. Now I understand why. You reminded us that even at even that our time on earth is very limited. But even at the very young age that you've left us at, you lived a full life. It is time for God to rest your soul in peace. And for some of you who may have heard this story from District 114 Director Gladys Mohonyo, Merryl said to me, go and pick up many grapes because we would like to see District 74 distinguished. I will stop at nothing until I fill truckloads of grapes so that we can celebrate. I invite you and I to contact our Club Growth Director, Joel, our Program Quality Director, Njabulo, or even myself to ask how we can step up and show up like Merryl did so that we've got so much more to celebrate. Till we meet again, my friend, rest in peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was past District 74, Frank, District Director Frank Zulu, giving us the eulogy. I guess we've come to that point where we look back. We look back at the last hour where we shared nothing but love. We shared memories of someone who was a part of us, a sister, a friend, an advisor. Life is so short, my dear friends. And if there's anything that you should do, and if there's anything that you can do, is follow your passion. Find your passion and follow it. If there's anything we can learn from Merryl, it is that. And while you're at it, serve others, help others. It could be one person or two, it could be 5, but you have that power. Let your light shine, let it shine brightly, so that when you are gone, and long after you are gone, you are remembered for generations to come. And in Toastmasters fashion, we like to applaud. We applaud to allow members to have that confidence that they already have. We fuel the fire. Now I want to do something special for Merryl today. I'd like to ask the Zoom masters if they could, before we close, to unmute everybody, and if you could give 30 seconds, our last applause for Merryl Jubber. So ladies and gentlemen, you're being unmuted. You could start now.
Hey, Merryl.
Well, Merryl.
Merryl.
Well, Merryl.
Thanks, Merryl. Thank you. Surely a significant
Glass of wine.
win.
Oh, there's Gina.
Please, Merryl.
Bakawe hamba kahle khala.
We miss you.
We used to have lots of red wine after our meeting.
Rest in peace, Queen.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to all the speakers, wherever you may be connecting from around the world. I know we have different participants coming from everywhere. We have people in the Americas, Europe, Asia. We have a lot of in Africa here. Thank you so much for joining us. And whatever time it is, wherever you may be, thank you ever so much. We hope to see you and connect with you and ensure that Merryl's name lives on. Allow me to thank Merryl's mom, Merryl's sister, and of course, Alan, Merryl's son, who joined us this evening, and all our international directors who joined us in this call tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, as we close off, I ask you kindly to love yourself and love those around you. Enjoy the final tribute videos as they play, and take care. Good night.
Good night.
Farewell, Merryl.
Love you, Merryl.
Thank you, guys. It was a wonderful tribute.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alan, Melanie, and Melinda for joining us.
Thank you for this.
And for sharing.
Thank you for this meeting.
makes up in these times, and we think that things can
Come to me wild and wild. You come to me, give me everything I need. Give me a lifetime of promises and a world of dreams. Speak the language of love like you know what it means. And it can't be wrong. And make it strong. Simply the best. Better than all the rest. Better than anyone. Anyone I ever met. I'm stuck on your heart. I hang on every word you say. Tears apart. Baby, I would rather be dead. In your heart, since the start of every night and every day. In your eyes, I get lost, I get washed away. Just as long as I'm here in your arms, I could be in no better place. You're simply the best. Better than all the rest. Better than anyone. Anyone I ever met. Ooh, I'm stuck on your heart. I hang on every word you say. Oh, tears apart. No, no, no. Baby, I would rather be dead. Each time you leave me, I start losing control. You're walking away with my heart and my soul. I can feel you even when I'm alone. Oh, baby, don't let go. Now that she's back in the atmosphere with drops of Jupiter in her head. She acts like summer and walks like rain. Reminds me that there's a time to change. Since the return of her stay on the moon, she listens like spring and she talks like June. But tell me, did you sail across the sun? Did you make it to the Milky Way to see the lights all fading and that heaven is overrated? Tell me, did you fall for a shooting star?
Agreement.
She checks out most of what she does. Chapel reminds me that there's room to grow. Now that she's back in the atmosphere, I'm afraid that she might think of me as plain old Jane Doe. Sorry about a man who was too afraid to fly, so we never did land. But tell me, did the wind sweep you off your feet? Did you finally
Goodbye,
get the
everyone.
chance
Thanks for having us.
on the light of day? Head
All the way
back to
from
the
the
Milky
Caribbean.
Way.
Thank you for having
Tell
us.
me,
Bye-bye.
Venus blow your mind? Was it everything you wanted to find? And then you missed me while you were looking for yourself out there. Can you imagine your love fried deep fried chicken? Your best friend always sticking up for you. Even when I know you're wrong, can you imagine no first dance, freeze-dried romance, 5-hour phone conversation, the best soy latte that you ever had in me? But tell me, did the wind sweep you off your feet? Did you finally get the chance to dance along the light of day and head back toward the Milky Way? And tell me, did you sail across the sun? Did you make it to the Milky Way to see the lights all faded and that heaven is overrated? And tell me, did you fall for a shooting star? One without a permanent scar, and then you missed me while you were looking for yourself. Na 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 na. And then you finally get the chance to dance along the light of day. And then you fall for a shooting star, fall for a shooting star. And now you're only looking for yourself out there. It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again.
Damn, who knew? All the planes we flew, good things we've been through. That I'll be standing right here talking to you about another path. I know we love to hit the road and laugh, but something told me that it wouldn't last. Had to switch up, look at things different, see the bigger picture. Those were the days, hard work forever pays. Now I see you in a better place. See you in a better place. How can we not talk about family when family's all that we got? Everything I would do, you were standing there by my side. And now you gon' be with me for the last ride.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way, from where we began.
We started.
Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again.
Tell you.
When I see you again.
First you both go out your way and the vibe is feeling strong. And what's small turn to a friendship turn to a bond. And that bond will never be broken, the love will never get lost. And when brotherhood come first, then the line will never be crossed. Established it on our own when that line had to be drawn, and that line is what we reach. So remember me when I'm gone. How can we not talk about family when family's all that we got? Everything I went through, you were standing there by my side, and now you're gonna be with me for the last ride. Let the light guide your way. Yeah. Hold every memory as you go, and every road you take will always lead you home. Oh, it's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it